Microsoft just ruined your favorite game for nothing. What's up, y'all? I'm Ray, and this is my channel, Xbox Ready, where we get on and we talk about Xbox stuff. And to help me talk through some of that stuff today, I got my buddy Alex here. So Alex here, I've known him, like 14, 15 years, and through that whole time, he has owned a PlayStation console, a PS3, PS4, now PS5. First of all, Alex, how much do you currently know about Xbox as a brand?
And I grew up with Xbox. I had the OG Xbox as a kid. I knew all my friends had a 360, but that's where we parted ways. I went with the PS3, and ever since, the most I've really known about Xbox is like maybe some of their innovations with Game Pass.
Remember that? Hold on, you remember the Xbox 720? Like, I want to go back to those times when we were all like, I was Googling Xbox 720 and seeing like this insane Photoshop thing and being like, oh my God, the Xbox 720, this looks crazy, bro.
It's like the same thing as Googling Super Saiyan 100.
So just to give you like the Cliff Notes version of what the hot topics in Xbox right now is that they've, of course, like gobbled up all these studios and publishers, acquisitions and all of that. So a lot of their stuff was multi-platform, you know, like Minecraft. They're no stranger to multi-platform games, but over the past year, they've really just kind of put the pedal to the metal on all of that stuff. When they first started doing that, they were like, okay, those are games that are like older. They're not necessarily like iconic Xbox games. They would never, ever in a million years put something like Halo on PlayStation. But fast forward to 2025, May 2025, and it's looking like that's what's gonna happen because, well, they went ahead and brought over Forza Horizon 5 to PlayStation earlier this year. And earlier today, we got news that there was going to be a full-on remaster of the first Gears of War. Gears of War Reloaded is what they're calling it. It's gonna have like all sorts of visual improvements, virtually no loading screens is what they're saying. And also, anyone who owns Gears of War Ultimate, which is the current remastered version of that OG game, they're gonna get a free upgrade to Reload whenever it comes out. But beneath all of this like cool stuff that they're announcing and like gassing up, also coming to PS5 as well, the same day that it launches. Yes, yes, yes. So let's start with what I think is cool about this. First of all, I think the free upgrade from Ultimate to Reload whenever this launches, I think that's cool. I think like giving people who bought it already a freebie, those loyal fans that paid for it, they don't have to buy it again. They get it for free, and I think that's a very underrated part of Xbox and what they're able to offer. They'll give you these free upgrades, even if you have like the Xbox One version of a game. I remember buying the physical edition of Assassin's Creed Origins, and it's a disc, and I put it in my Xbox, and it was like, okay, I see that you're playing on Xbox Series X. You want that next gen patch? We're gonna go ahead and give you that update. Most backwards compatible titles, they'll give you that free upgrade. And which I think is really cool in the wake of like everything that Nintendo's talking about, like, oh, here's the upgrade path for Breath of the Wild if you want like the best version of it to run on the Switch too.
Seeing those technical improvements, those visual improvements, seeing those you know, that zero loading screen. I think we all take the zero loading screens with a giant asterisk because then we have those like we gotta squeeze through a narrow hallway section while the next part of the game loads. Like, so they're gonna remaster that. Like, those are, you know, that's the ground rules. You've got to meet those requirements.
Yes.
And then them
the bare minimum of like, if you're gonna, if you're gonna come to the table with a remaster, at the bare minimum, it's gotta look awesome.
And so, you know, having it come to the PlayStation 5, that's really exciting because, again, like that FOMO, I never really got to interact with the Gears series that much for that reason that it was never really available on my side of things, which was the PlayStation side. So, you know, it's a lot of hearing about it. And at the same time, I'm not really, the most that I'm familiar with the Gears series is that maybe they have 5 main entries in the franchise?
Yeah.
So in that case, you know, we're getting, that's a remake not just for the fans of the original franchise, that's a remake that then gets to be extended to everybody. Everybody gets a chance to play that. And it's really interesting to see that chance for everybody to join in on that multiplayer, that chance for everybody to get in on the ground level of them re-releasing this franchise. Because if there's 5 already, with the 6th on the way, you have to ask that question of, well, if they're going to port it over across all consoles, across all platforms, is this going to be a continuing pattern that we're going to see, like a lot of companies that have that legacy IP, that legacy content that they're going to be rejuvenating for this new age of hardware?
We're getting more Gears fans, right? And that's always a nice thing. Like this franchise that I've known and loved for many, many years, like it's gonna be revitalized in a way. Yeah, we're losing that exclusivity on the Xbox side, and it's crossing the aisle for the first time, which, I mean, I go back and forth on it because I have kind of made my peace with it. I've kind of accepted the fact like this is what Xbox is going to do, right? The writing's been on the walls for a while now. What am I really losing in that situation? Like I've played this game many times before, and maybe I haven't played Reloaded yet, but I've played the first Gears many times. I've enjoyed it as an Xbox fan. Is Alex playing it on his PlayStation gonna somehow cheapen those memories? No, absolutely not. But on the other end, it's kind of like, I don't know, like how does this benefit fans? I see how this benefits Microsoft, Xbox. They get to make more money. They get to kind of groom the PlayStation audience and get them acclimated to Gears as a franchise for what I assume is further down the line, other Gears games being ported over. And so I get how that's beneficial to Microsoft, but like, what are the fans getting out of this? So like, it's coming to Game Pass day 1, so that's pretty cool. I can see kind of how like, Microsoft makes more money, Xbox makes more money. They get to pour that money into other projects, other games, like stuff for us. And you know what? I'm also disappointed that, because for forever now, we've been hearing from all these insiders and reporters and stuff that Xbox was working on like a collection, like a trilogy or a Marcus Phoenix collection, similar to what they did with the Master Chief collection. That was the rumor involving these original Gears games. So for it to come out and it's like, it's just the one game, it's not all 3. It's like, okay, that's not as cool as I thought it was gonna be. This comes out, it's $40. Are you buying it day 1 as a PlayStation fan? Or are you waiting? You're waiting for a sale. You're waiting for the reviews to come. Like, what is your... Because this dude right here, he's like the most strategic when it comes to his gaming purchases. Like, he is in the lab, like listing out the pros and cons of each game that he's gonna buy. Like, he's like trying to scientifically map out, like, is this gonna be worth the enjoyment that I get out of it?
I mean, look, it's a question for older gamers, right? For gamers from an older generation, where like, we're getting older, we have more time, we have less time, we have more responsibilities.
Yes.
How are you going to spend your dollar amount to make sure that you are getting the most out of that experience that you are paying for? Games are becoming, or have for some time been, these in-depth experiences. So when I'm looking at that $ amount, when I'm looking at, am I buying this day 1? Am I going out to get this day 1 as a PlayStation guy? I'm probably waiting. And they took that time to port it over to the PlayStation. They took that time to make it multi-platform. And even so, I'm gonna wait because I want to see first, do those original Xbox fans feel like they have a satisfying experience? For those folks who have played that, all the way back in the day, that original release, is it true to that? Is it better than that experience? From there, I'm trying to see, is the publishing to the PlayStation platform, is that a successful one? How's that multiplayer handling? How are those reviews looking? Like, I'm a person who is double, triple, quadruple checking my math before I am spending that money. And if I'm representative in any way of your average PlayStation, PlayStation owner, PlayStation consumer, then, I'm going to be looking at all of that, whether it checks the box, before I'm even going to consider making that jump, making that purchase.
I think it's interesting because I think there are a ton of people like you. Like, if I'm going to buy this game, it better be worth my time.
Yeah.
but we're also seeing like all sorts of insane data from these games that they've already put on PlayStation. Like some of these are topping the charts on the PlayStation Store in terms of pre-orders. Like Sea of Thieves and Forza was up there as well. There's been this rhetoric of Xbox is giving up. They're giving PlayStation their exclusives that used to be part of this arms race between the two of them. They're not getting PlayStation exclusives in return. And also they just raised the price of their consoles too. Are the console wars truly done? And I'm wondering, like, is there anything that Xbox could have done this generation? Or is there anything Xbox could do next generation for you to stop and be like, I want to buy an Xbox?
Simplest thing, get that naming convention down. Get that naming convention down for your average consumer. You know,
you don't like jumping to a new thing? Every gen. You don't like the Xbox to 360 to One to Series?
No, you know what? I'd prefer what you mentioned earlier. I'd call it the Xbox echo chamber. I don't care. I would definitely understand that better as the next thing. Anyway, but as far as hardware goes, you know, for the average consumer, what would I need to switch from PlayStation all the way over to Xbox? Well, one of the things that I've always felt there's a sort of disparity because Xbox kind of pioneered it, PlayStation's still playing the catching up game, is that PlayStation Plus membership versus that Xbox Game Pass membership. So if you had some hardware maybe that came preloaded with a subscription that maybe was going to give you a discount to that Xbox Game Pass membership for the first year, for what have you, so that you really get to experience all that Xbox has to offer there, you know, that is something that would definitely tempt me. I feel like there's still there's some kinks that PlayStation Plus needs to work out a little bit with the way that it does its memberships, its tier list, its prescriptions, its premiums, all the different levels and whatnot. I feel like Xbox has it a little more clear cut, a little more accessible for the average gamer.
So you're saying that like you would buy it if there, like as a gateway to Game Pass.
Yeah, maybe as a gateway to Game Pass, but at the same time, you know, part of the reason that I stuck with PlayStation all these years is because I'm really interested in those narrative-driven, gameplay-driven exclusives that Sony's churning out. And, you know, it used to be, you know, you're a PlayStation fan, but you're getting FOMO from everybody playing Halo. You're getting FOMO from everybody playing Gears, from whatever the new thing is on Xbox that just always sort of rules that multiplayer experience.
Yeah.
That sort of drives that conversation publicly. You know, that's the thing that you're kind of missing out on. So here's an opportunity for PlayStation to come in, but even so, I'm not necessarily buying in on that level because I still crave those really specific single player experiences that end up being exclusives.
Let's look at the past 5 years. Is there anything over the past 5 years, since exclusives are important to you, is there anything over the past 5 years since the start of this generation that has made you think, that kind of makes me want to buy an Xbox, in the same way that in the 360 days you were thinking like, oh, Halo 3, I kind of want an Xbox. Gears, I kind of want an Xbox. Anything at all like that?
Yeah, it's tricky, right? Because there's a lot of flash in the pan titles. There's a lot of things that they're going to put out that has everybody's attention for the moment. I remember when Redfall came out and everybody was very excited about Redfall, and then that sort of fizzled and that kind of went away.
That's kind. That's a kind description.
And then, you know, there's certain other things. Like I remember when I was hearing about Avowed, seeing a little bit more about Avowed, I thought, oh, you know, maybe this is that first title in a long time that's making me feel like, and then, you know, it came out and those reviews were generally favorable, but you know, it's not the exclusive Skyrim or the exclusive experience that they're looking for that's going to cause people to go run into the shelves.
Like you're saying, Game Pass is the one thing that they've done that's caught your eye in any meaningful way. I'm thinking about it now, and we were talking about this over lunch. Xbox, they may be bringing their exclusives over to PlayStation, Halo, Gears, Forza, but the one thing that we'll probably never see on a rival platform is Game Pass. Like, even if Microsoft is interested in putting Game Pass on PlayStation or the Switch too, no way would Sony or Nintendo allow that. Let me fill you in on some of the other rumors that are going on with in regards to the next gen Xbox. The next Xboxes, the rumor is that it's going to be like a regular flagship console and a handheld. Those are going to be more like console PC hybrids that maybe have Steam or other launchers on it, like the Epic launcher or other stuff besides the Microsoft Xbox store. Would that be something that interests you?
Having hardware that is able to run Steam, that is able to run Epic and launch Epic, that is able to then have that Xbox. The wider variety, again, I think that's one of Xbox's strong suits, is that that smorgasbord of all the different flavors. Especially like we were talking about before, we get older. You're a person with limited time. You sit down, you finally have that 20 to 35 minutes before you got to go to bed, get up for work tomorrow. You want to play a very specific thing. You have a wider catalog to choose from. You have a greater chance of hitting the mark as opposed to those, I don't know, 12 games maybe that I can fit on the memory card before I have to put in a new one for the PS5.
I think price is going to be the tricky thing. Like, we're already seeing $730 Xbox, the 2 terabyte one. And when you start to get into that territory, the whole draw of a console was because it wasn't $1,200 like a PC would, or like a good PC would be. It was $500, $400. You plug it into your TV. It's simple, it's straightforward, and you get to play the game. You don't have to mess around with like, I gotta compile my shaders and like update my drivers and all that. I'm excited for like a PC hybrid kind of console thing, but it still needs to maintain that ease of use if it's gonna be effective in bridging that gap. And it's also got to be cheap. The PS5 Pro got it started and everyone was like, oh my God, this is so expensive. And then Switch 2 comes out. Oh my God, this is so expensive. Xbox raises the price. I'm so sick of this, man. I'm so sick of living in this world where things are getting more and more expensive. But I am gonna wrap it up there. Thanks again for joining me for another edition of Xbox Ready. Thanks again to Alex for joining us to discuss these pressing matters and give his perspective.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Yes, and I am currently trying to work my way to 200,000 subs. I'm super close, so if you can ring that bell, help me out. I would really appreciate it, and we'll see you in the next one.